As we get into the incident reporting for Archibus and the COVID-19, you're looking at Archibus version 25 in the home pages. Let's go ahead and start tracking incidents. You can come back in here and you can see that we get a list of all the incidences that are open right now. So you can see that yesterday, Bob Stephen had a COVID-19. Today, Dan Miller does. I'm going to go ahead and click on Dan. And as I do that, I get this really nice console down here that has a bunch of information. We're going to go through each one of these pieces of information today and talk about it. So this is where we can add some more information. So for example, it was recorded today, it was Dan Miller. I can actually put in a manager if I want. So I can say that, this is the manager that was involved. I can say the time of the incident was 10:05 a.m. It's recorded by AFM, is who I'm logged in as. I can have an injury code. So I could say that this is other, and I can put in an injury area code if there was any chemical or substance involved, and activity before injury, basically desk work or anything like that. And I can go ahead and save this. The other information is that I can come in here and do site information, which is filled out at the point in time, but if it wasn't, it can be added here if there was any equipment involved or on which property. So, one of the things that we can do here in the tracking of an incident is it's actually connected to your floor plans, and so we can indicate on a floor plan the area that's affected. And notice that since we know where Dan Miller sits, his office was automatically brought up to his floor plate. I can come over here and take any one of these items and I can place it on a floor plan, and that's his office there. And I can go ahead and submit this red line as an incident with this document and say this area needs disinfecting. And I can submit it, and that will then be saved with this incident. And so if you were to then create a work request, which we'll show in a future video, that can also be done. We can also go into what's called medical information. So let's say that he is going to go to the emergency, and we do believe he's going to be hospitalized. And we do believe that Dr. Duran is going to take care of this. And he went to SF Regional. So we can put all that information in here, and we can put an address in, or if there were other consequences, we can actually put that in. I'm just going to go ahead and save this piece of information and have it go from there. All right, that's been saved successfully. And then the next thing I can do is I can actually provide more information here. Now remember that Archibus is a flexible application, and if you only want to report and respond, that's all we need to put in here. We're showing you the entire workflow dashboard. Some of these things can be called back, or we can add them in. You don't have to do all of this, is what I'm saying. So you can have 2 steps or 25 steps, whatever your company desires to have. So we can come in here and do things like what's the root cause, and we have some selections here. Lost productivity, we can upload a cause document, but let's now go into medical monitoring. So let's say that we are going to add a new medical monitoring in here. And so Dan Miller, and we have a medical monitoring code, and I put this in yesterday. And basically the medical monitoring on COVID-19 is that we're going to start monitoring this next week. So here's today, but next week we're going to start monitoring Dan's progress. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this monitoring. What's going to happen here is that we had preset that we check every week in with Dan. And so now it has created these monitoring steps for us. So on the first day, we can come in here and we can take a look at the monitoring. We can add some notes, and we can give it a tracking number and any kind of comments that the doctor had given to us. We can save that information. So, he's getting better. Temperature is lower. And I can go ahead and save that with this incident, and it can be back up and looked at again, and we can go and change the status if we need to. If this is a work restriction, in fact, many of the cases with COVID, it may be. So this may be a COVID-19 loss of work, could be a permanent loss or temporary loss, and the start date was today, because we reported it today. And the end date we suspect could be in the future. We can fill that in, or we can just fill it in as we go. We could have any type of medical recommendations added in here from the doctor on how long they should stay out of work and things like this. So let me go ahead and save this. We can also go into what's called employee training. So let's say that we may want to have a training program for COVID-19 that is related to this. We're going to start this training in 2 months from now when Dan returns. And we're going to assign this training, and basically we can have documents that are indicating about cleanliness, about masks, about gloves, about any other type of safety measures that are necessary for the COVID-19. And Dan will be required to go through this training prior to returning to work or while he's at work. And you can have as many types of trainings as you want around this, whether it's hand cleanliness or social distancing training or just basically stay at home when you're not feeling well training, all that kind of good stuff. We can also add what's called personal protective equipment. And so we can come in here and we can add, let's say that we want to add a mask, which I want to go face shields. And we can have the location where we deliver it. And, we're going to go here and deliver this to room 203. So I think that's where Dan was sitting, Bosmed 203 workstation. We're going to have that delivered, and we're going to go ahead and assign this personal protective equipment types to Dan. All of this, you should be aware, is that we can actually do and upload documents. So I can come in here and pick a type of document that this is, save it, and then once I name what type of document I want, I can now come in here and I can choose a file, and I can come in here and grab any type of PDF file that I want. So I can come up here and grab a document and add it. And this document now is added to this file, and I can now take a look at it. I can download it, and then here's the file that I had added here.